Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Hey, this is Skippy from Mornings with Lone Star with Dick and Skippy. You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rick Schissler, and you're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. Thank you for taking time to join us this morning. I think we've got a wonderful show lined up for you, one that'll give you information and ideas, hopefully that you can use even in your business today. We are broadcasting today live from the studios of Lone Star Community Radio, which is located in the Conroe, Texas City Hall. So we're here in City Hall, first floor. If you haven't come by the new studios, I encourage you to come by and take a look. You know, Conroe is one of the fastest, if not the fastest growing city in America right now in its size. So lots and lots of business taking place here. There's no doubt about it. In fact, I was talking to someone the other day, and we both decided we're living kind of in a bubble because you drive across the county line in Harris County or to the north even, or east-west to the other counties, and you just don't see the growth that you see when you drive around Conroe. Lots of land being turned over and buildings built, so that's a great indicator of a great business environment. And speaking of news, business news you can use. I picked up several things this week. Speaking of growth and doing well, the city of Conroe had to cut back their budget by $2.6 million. You know, these budgets, I imagine, take long, many months to put together, and they had projected higher rates of income and revenue, but projected property values and tax rate had to be reduced. They couldn't increase it as much, so they went about the business of doing things that were fiscally responsible and trying to pare back that budget. So kudos to our city council and city leaders for taking that on. Shipping delays. This is one of the things I am most deeply concerned because it impacts all of the people I work with, my clients, people I talk to in business. Almost everybody today has a story about an order that was late. In some cases, it's consistent depending on the industry that you depend on. Our supply chain in this country is really broken down. It's very inconsistent. I think it has gotten better since the first of the year, but still very distressing. And many businesses have had to adjust their schedules and how they sell, how they promise their goods and services. And now I hear that they're getting ready potentially to have a strike, or maybe it went into effect this morning out on the United Kingdom. It has a dock strike going on. So goods coming from Europe, from England, are going to be slowed down even further. I understand they averted a strike in L.A., which, as everyone probably knows, is a major point of entry in this country for goods, particularly from Asia and China. Also saw the other day that the Department of Transportation is finally doing something, pushing the railroads to do a better job and share their tracks and schedules so there are more efficiencies there. But the drought in the rivers, can you believe that? In Northern Europe particularly, the rivers have gotten down and are so dry that it has impaired the ability to ship goods on the rivers. So all kinds of things happening, a lot of them outside our country, but ultimately we feel the impact of those kind of delays in the supply chain. New business, lots of work going on. I'm glad to see that here in Montgomery County. There's a big road study being done in Precinct 2. It's like all road studies, create a little bit of controversy. Don't put a road in my backyard or don't increase this. But I am so glad to see that our leaders and our officials are trying to plan ahead and do some things so that the mobility issue in this county does not become a negative, that it's always a positive, which obviously will support the growth of our businesses and all kinds of things in our county. Well, the bottom line is the Weekly Business Hour is where Montgomery County and businesses throughout the world today come to talk about the latest in business news, ideas to improve your business, and to be part of conversations, again, that can make a real difference in your business. I want to remind you, as I try to do every week, that the show is currently being broadcast live on Facebook and YouTube. Just find the Weekly Business Hour page, click on it, and you can watch as well as listen to today's program. And the other thing that's so important to us here at the Weekly Business Hour, if you've got a comment about the show, you've got an idea, you've got a complaint, or you have a business situation, a business issue that you would like some feedback on, then please email us. It's real simple. Just send it to my email address, and that's at that's the number 1, bestconsult@gmail.com. That's 1, bestconsult, CONSULT, @gmail.com. We use some of those emails on the show. In fact, we have a great one today to talk about. So please send the emails. I love to hear from those of you who are listening about the Weekly Business Hour or about your challenges in your business today. Well, moving right along, we've got a great guest, I think, here today, someone that can provide some ideas and potentially a service to you that could really enhance your ability to perform at a higher level in your business. Bill Torgan's joining us today. He has a CH, and he's going to share his experience and expertise not only in starting his business, but we're going to talk a lot about what he does. He uses hypnosis to help his clients stop smoking, lose weight, as well as deal with other issues such as depression, anxiety, which can impact your ability to work. So, Bill, I want to welcome you to the show. This is going to be very interesting, in my opinion.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your business because our listeners are business owners, business managers, always want to hear a good business story of how someone was able to start and build their business. Give us a little bit of how and why you started your current business.
Well, I've done a lot of things. I started out, I was enlisted in the Air Force. I was an officer in the Army. I was a lieutenant in the police department. I've done a lot in local community theater here in Conroe. I've acted and directed here. But when I retired, I didn't have enough money to live on. It was time to go back to work. And so I needed something with a low overhead. And when I was a lieutenant in the police department, we sent a detective to learn forensic hypnosis. That is how to help witnesses recover memories for testimony. And it's a different animal in the sense that you have to be very careful because you can create a false memory. So I thought that was very interesting, and I had a friend of mine who was on the homeowners association with me, and he had gone to California to learn how to do quit smoking hypnosis. And so I felt that was something I could do. I've always been interested in helping people, and I got started. I got my training through some courses in a California school, and then I transferred to the Path Foundation in Houston. So I got my certifications through the Path Foundation and my certification through the National Guild of Hypnotists. And then I opened my practice. I opened my practice in August of 2015. So I've been doing it now for about 7 years. And it's really amazing the way it works. A lot of people, the only thing they know about hypnosis is what they see on television or a stage show somewhere. And clinical hypnosis is more like a guided meditation, but it's more powerful than meditation. And the reason it's more powerful is because if it's like a parent tells a child something they want them to believe, and the child just won't believe a word they say. They'll believe a complete stranger, but they won't believe that parent. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is the parent lies to the child all the time. It tells them about the tooth fairy, tells them about Santa Claus, tells them they're going to punish them, and then they don't. So it's not that they don't love the child or the child doesn't love them. It's that the child doesn't trust that they're going to tell them the absolute truth, only what the parent thinks the child should know. And the same thing is true with your conscious and your subconscious. Think of the conscious like the parent and the subconscious like the child. Well, our conscious lies to our subconscious all the time. That's part of human nature. And so the subconscious is not willing to believe it in most of the cases. And so what happens is, in order for it to believe, it has to be in a relaxed state. The subconscious needs to be in a relaxed state, and the conscious needs to be repetitive and very convincing in order to get that subconscious to believe. That's what meditation is. I'm the I'm the stranger. I'm the one that has no reason to lie. And so therefore, I'm much more believable. And so in a relaxed state, the subconscious is more open to these positive suggestions. Now I say positive suggestion, because if you're in my chair to quit smoking and I say something to you about, okay, Rick, now I want you to stand up and cluck like a chicken, the first thing that happened would be you open your eyes, you look at me like I'm some kind of a nut, because I would be, because that's not what you're there for. You're always awake and aware. I've had clients say to me, well, you know what? I'm afraid I may say something under hypnosis that I don't want anybody to know. It doesn't work that way. You're always awake and aware. You'll only say what you're willing to say. But in a relaxed state, you're more open to these positive suggestions, and it's very powerful.
Well, it sounds like, in just a response to what you just said, it's kind of like meditation on steroids, so to speak, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, in a way. Meditation's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking meditation. Meditation is very good, and I recommend it. Meditation is a way for you to be able to inwardly make these changes and achieve your goals. Some people can do that very easily. You know, we talk about willpower. Well, what is it? Willpower is just a desire to succeed, a desire to achieve a goal. I have clients that are weight loss clients, and they'll come in and they'll say, okay, every diet, I tell them, every diet will work. There's no diet out there that won't. They all work. Some are more healthier than others. Some are more expensive than others. Some are more involved. Some are for a specific purpose, but they'll all work. And they all work on the premise of denying yourself something you really want to achieve a goal. But usually because of success, or some portion of success, that equation changes. And so the desire is not as good. It's like I've had clients who have quit smoking in the past and can't quit on their own again. They were able to quit successfully on their own, and now they can't. And that's because their subconscious says, well, I don't have anything to prove. I've already quit successfully once before. I don't need to prove I can do it again. And so that equation changes, and that's what willpower is about. Willpower is funny because you don't have to have strong willpower. You just have to have that desire, and your willpower will be as strong as it needs to be able to achieve your goal.
Well, and it sounds like willpower really is that like you say, desire or goal to change that behavior. And that singular behavior, I think a lot of times people, when they're trying to stop smoking or any of the obvious things you do, as far as things you attack or help people get through, is that it gets flooded with so much else, so much noise, and we can't focus and keep our attention.
Yeah. Quitting smoking, people think it's the nicotine that drives the cravings. It's not. Nicotine leaves the body in 72 hours. Most of it's gone in the first 24. You pee it out. What really drives cravings and habits and everything else is our emotions. For instance, if you're on a diet, have you ever stood in front of the refrigerator and looked at the food in there and trying to decide what to eat? That's not true hunger. That's trying to satisfy an emotion. So it's really about emotional release. So my process is pretty simple. The first thing I do is an induction. That's nothing more than some relaxation techniques. Then I do deepening, which is more relaxation techniques. And then I usually give a signal which uses something in our everyday environment to help deal with stress and anxiety. It works like a post-hypnotic trigger. And then I'll do what's called a regression to cause. Now, I'll ask a client if they remember the first time that this issue manifested. It may be something like, let's say they're coming over for a fear. Fears are great. Usually fears and quitting smoking and things like that, they're one-session deals. You come in, one session later, done. So when they have something like that, I take them back in their memory to the very first time they can remember it. We call that the seed experience. And I take them back in their memory to that point in time. And then we do what's called a release. I ask them if they can release it, and the answer is always yes. And the answer is yes because I'm talking to the subconscious at this point, and the subconscious doesn't reason or rationalize. Only the conscious does that. The conscious is slow, it's linear, it can only do one thing at a time, but the subconscious is fast, it can multitask. So their answer is always going to be yes, and I tell them this, their answer is always going to be yes. And then I tell them to let it go. And when they let it go, now their conscious can tell the subconscious, I don't want that to bother me anymore. There's no reason for it to bother me anymore. And it's amazing. I ask a ton of questions during this process. I have no clue as to what the client is thinking. I don't need to know. But they're releasing all this emotion, all this baggage. And usually, a client at the end of this feels light. They feel like they've unburdened themselves of a lot of things. And then I do some, I'll talk to the cells of the body. I'll talk to the cells of the endocrine system. Now this is interesting because we're chemical beings. What happens is we have a thought in the prefrontal cortex. It travels through a neural network to the limbic part of the brain. And when it travels through that neural network, it's like electricity going through a wire. It creates a magnetic field. Well, that's what they measure in a hospital with an electroencephalograph. That gives them sine waves on a graph, brainwave activity. Well, humans only have 5 ranges of brainwave activity. The highest range is called gamma, and that's pretty fast. That operates from about 50 hertz to 100 hertz. Our lights operate at 60 here in the US, 50 in Europe, so you know that's fast. And you know you're in gamma when things seem to be going in slow motion, but you know they're not. Like someone throws a ball at you, and you can see the stitches in the leather, but you can't do anything to catch it. The brain is operating super fast. It's just not deep thought. The other extreme would be delta. Delta is pretty slow, operates from about 4 hertz to half a hertz to 4 hertz. And that's usually when you're deep asleep. The body doesn't need a lot of brainwave activity to regulate heart rate, breathing rate, and cellular repair. Most of our lives is spent in beta. Beta is a large range. Operates from about 13 hertz to 50 hertz. At the high end of that range would be your heightened awareness or your flight response. At the low end of that range, you might be relaxed reading a book. Most of our lives is in mid-range beta. That's where we are today, having a conversation with all our senses engaged. What hypnosis and meditation both do is lower the brainwave activity down into the alpha and theta states. Alpha is from about 8 hertz to 13 hertz, and theta is from about 4 hertz to 8 hertz. Now, the nice thing about hypnosis for things like fears and habits and things like that is you only need to be relaxed. You only need to be in that alpha state, just getting down relaxed. And then when you're relaxed, you can let all this stuff go. After I do the releasing and talking to the endocrine system, to get back to the endocrine system, got ahead of myself.
Yeah, we got a break coming up,
Okay.
so we got a few seconds here left.
Okay, the endocrine system, when that thought goes to the endocrine is what directs the glands, all the glands in our bodies to produce a chemical mix that creates us to feel the way we feel. So we release all that.
So it releases not only subconsciously, but chemically within the body.
Right.
Well, Bill, this is really interesting stuff. We unfortunately need to take a break right now. And ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we're going to talk more about the business of hypnosis and how Bill markets his business. And I think you're going to find it very interesting. So please stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
Vell Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit, began in 2014 with a mission to strengthen the future of veterans through leadership and entrepreneurship training. We've invested over 1,400 hours of training in our veterans while connecting them with community entrepreneurs and leaders. Our mission is to continue investing in our veterans who have given so much for our country. Please join us in our mission by visiting vellinstitute.org. That's VELinstitute.org.
Is there someone you know who is hooked on vintage aircraft? Follow the Commemorative Air Force and its fleet of World War II planes, including the mighty B-17 Flying Fortress Texas Raiders. which is based in Conroe, Texas. Texas Raiders tours locally and all around the United States, offering the public a chance to put their hands on aviation history. What could be a more perfect gift than a flight on a historic B-17? Taking to the sky on the iconic bomber is an experience that will never be forgotten. For the touring schedule, reservations, or more information, go to b17texasraiders.org or call 855-FLY-A-B-17.
You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm a Silver Fox advisor as well as the founder of OneBestConsult.com. And we're visiting today with Bill Torgan. Bill is a certified how do you say that, Bill? Hypnotist. There we go. I'm sorry. I tripped on that one. And we have been having a discussion of how hypnosis can really help you change a bad habit. And it's really not as complicated, Bill, I think, listening to you kind of walk us through. But one of the things, and we were talking about at the break, is marketing your business. What do you do to market your business? You mentioned that awareness was fairly low in the marketplace when you started. So you've got to market to awareness, I assume, is still probably one of your major things. But what do you do to market your business?
Yeah, that is correct. I didn't know what to do to start with. Like I said, I've been doing this about 7 years, and I started out, and immediately a new business will think all I have to do is advertise. Advertise is good, trying to get the word out, but there's a cost involved. So when you are spending money on advertising, you really have to get that ROI, that return on investment. I have found that the best way to advertise, to get the word out, is your social media, which is a free type of advertising. But you have to work at it. You have to be able to get the word out. You have to be able to get testimonials. You have to be good. You have to be honest. That is more important than anything else. Being honest. Someone would rather hear you tell something and say, okay, I can't help you, than to try to blow smoke and say, okay, well, I want, this is the best thing. They want honesty. And if you're honest, they can feel that. They can actually do that. So I do a lot of networking. I have a group called the Reveille Group in the Woodlands that I go to. It's a great group. It's got a lot of people in it, and we network there. It's different businesses. I've tried B&I. I've tried different networking groups. So networking is good. You've got to be able to get the word out. People have to trust. You have to build relationships. So I also need to figure out other ways of getting the word out. And this is another way right now, doing this little radio program. People don't know what they don't know. And so referrals are a big thing for me. I have a client, for instance, I had a client that come in to see me she had a fear of driving. And she had a license, but she just had this fear of driving. She wouldn't drive. And then about 6 months later, Google sends me a notice that I got a 5-star review, and I look at it, and it was 6 months after I had seen her. She said that she came to see me 6 months earlier and hadn't had a chance to drive, hadn't had a reason to drive, and a friend of hers gave her a car, and she had to drive it home. She says she got in the car and she drove home like she'd never had a fear in the first place. Those are testimonials. Those are what helps bring in more people that want this type of help.
It's a great story, too. Curious here, typically people that go into business for themselves, particularly the first business, it's their background that kind of gives them somewhat of a leg up. There are a lot of other things that can help me from day one. Your background, military, law enforcement, what in your background helped you the most in starting a business for yourself?
My acting. The acting that I've done here in the theater, I've learned an awful lot about speaking. When you are speaking, especially in a hypnotic way, you have to be sure that you pronounce well. You have to be sure that you hit your consonants and your T's. You have to use onomatopoeia. You have to be able to say the words and emote the words that convey the feeling that you're trying to get the client to feel. And I think that's helped me more than anything else be successful in my actual practice.
So really it was that hobby, if you will, or that
Yes.
outside activity. That's wonderful. Well, let me ask you, one of the things businesses do, and in particularly in startup, but even 7 years like yourself down the road, is they offer a guarantee for their service and or products. Do you offer any kind of guarantee about what is results or anything you do?
I do not. And the reason for that is simple. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I'm just a guide. I can't guarantee that you will relax enough into the process to achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve. I'm a helper, okay? I'll work with you. I'll do whatever I can to help you. My prices are very affordable, and so I don't go overboard with that. But I want you to be happy. I want you to be satisfied. But I can't guarantee results.
So what you're saying is effectively then there are just going to be some people that are not going to be able to benefit from this because of their situation or their mindset or...
Very few. Some people have a little more difficulty achieving hypnosis, just like meditation.
Well, I can believe that. I mean, the way you've described it works.
Yeah, just like meditation. Sometimes people have a hard time getting relaxed, and it takes a little time. You know, it's funny because my first session is 90 minutes to 2 hours. If someone comes to me for another session for even a different reason, they usually go under quicker, faster, and deeper in a second because they know what to expect.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Again, I can understand just off the top of my head that there are going to be people that can't get into it, and which has no bearing on what you're offering as a service, but you will assist people the best you can, and I think that's basically what you can do. Well, let's talk about the business aspect. Someone's considering opening a business today. What is the single most important piece of advice would you give them in their consideration of opening their own business like you did?
Climb out of your comfort zone. Everybody has a comfort zone. We create them. It's part of our habits. It's part of our behavior. You have to be willing to fail. Failure is a part of winning. Failure is a part of success. Show me somebody that's successful, and I'll show you somebody that's failed over and over and over again. You have to be willing to do it. Now, there's stubbornness involved, and you have to be able to know when you are not able to achieve a certain goal and be able to change track. But you have to be able to be willing to fail.
Yeah, and the persistence that goes along with it. And I love your caveat. Sometimes you're just not going to be able to get there, and you got to know when to back off.
Right.
And that's a challenge for most folks. Let me ask you this, current climate of business here in Montgomery County. I alluded to that in my opening. How do you find in general, because you're out there networking, I see you from time to time, and you're talking to other business people. What's your take on the current business climate here in Conroe, Montgomery County in general?
Conroe is business friendly. And that is a reason why people are flocking to Conroe from all over the United States. As a community grows, it gets growing pains, and we actually go through those. Traffic, everything else that you have to deal with. But there's a reason why people are coming here. And the reason people are coming here is because we're business friendly, because we are people friendly.
Well, I agree with you. I've lived here now 6 going on 7 years. My family and I moved up here because we sensed that friendliness. The traffic is increasing, which is something we were trying to get, because we lived all our lives in Harris County. But the traffic is a result, right, of the growth that's taking place.
You know, I originally came from Connecticut, and the attitude up north, of people up north, has always seemed to me to have been that people would not accept you until you prove yourself. In the South, it's almost the opposite. They accept you on face value until you prove otherwise. I love the South. I love Texas.
You know, I think that you make an excellent point. I've never really thought about that, but that is an excellent point. And if it's already not been quoted, you need to use that quote. I'll tell you that, or at least give credit to those that, or the person who may have thought that up. That is wonderful, because you're exactly right. At the end of the day, you mentioned, gave a great piece of advice to someone who's starting a business, but 7 years in, would you be willing to share with our audience what you feel is the secret to your success? We were offline. You mentioned how your business has grown the last few years, tremendous growth based on any measure, in my opinion. What is the secret to success for Bill Torgan and your business?
You have to be able to look at what's going right and double down on it. And you have to be able to look at what is not going right and change. Your ability to shift and change is important to survive. For a long time after I started my practice, I had to work part-time. So, but my love was in the practice. And so you have to find those opportunities that will allow you to create and allow you to innovate. I've written a lot of my own scripting for my own practice, for my own purposes, and it's been very successful. I've been thinking about doing other things as well, and along with those lines. And so I'm working on them. Sometimes I'll get into something, and then I'll say, you know what, I'm hitting a blog, I'm going to set it aside for a while. And that may sit there for a while, for a long time, and I'll move on to something else. But you always have to be moving. You always have to be doing something. You can't sit back and be complacent. That is not a business person. You find me a business person that's complacent, and I'll show you the failure.
Yeah, and particularly in the challenging world we are in right now to business, the business challenge. Well, Bill, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story today, and also sharing some of the detailed information about what you do with hypnosis and how it works. And you have encouraged me to consider it. I'll be frank with you, because I understand it better now. If folks want to reach out to you and learn more or talk to you about engaging your services, what's the best way they can reach you and talk or communicate with you about it?
They can call me by phone. My telephone number is 936-537-5666.
Okay.
And they can also go to my website, which is ConroeLifeChanges.com. And I had clients come to me and tell me how easy it was to book a session. All they have to do is just click the link and sign up, and that's it. They can see my availability and book whenever they want.
Yeah, I think that's a feature that everybody in business, if you offer a service particularly.
I get a lot of clients.
I wish they'd all do that.
Yeah.
Any final words for our audience?
I have a lot of clients that reach me from the internet. The internet is important. There are different social medias out there. Each one has its own audience. Research them. There are free classes that you can take with Udemy and online and things like that you can, or low cost, that you can actually learn what you don't know. A lot of the people that I have that have a problem are usually the older people in business that are not internet savvy. Learn it. Get involved.
Well, I think those are words of wisdom, and particularly on the social media side of business. Every business owner needs to have a little bit of understanding, even if they let someone else do the implementation, to really understand it. Again, thank you, Bill Torgan and Conroe Life Changes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our bottom of the hour break, and I would encourage you to stick with us. We've got a good show left here today. In the second half, I'm going to go to that mailbag, the one where you send in an email to me, and we had a question come in to us. How in the hell do I adjust to all the changes that are going on? What a wonderful question. And I quoted it just as it was written to me. And then I'll finish up today with the One Best Consult tip of the week. How good are you in connecting with people? So please stay with us, and we'll be right back with you.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1 and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
Health Center Southeast Texas is a federally qualified health center. We accept Medicare, Medicaid, and most major private insurances. For our self-pay patients, we have a sliding scale discount program available. Our health centers have qualified providers and staff striving every day to provide the best quality of care to our patients. Services offered are family medicine, behavioral health services, telepsychiatry, and pediatrics. We have 4 area locations. Look up the Health Center Southeast Texas online at hcset.com.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dance Time in Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
We have the safest food supply in the world. Strict laws and regulations restrict the usage of hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides within our food supply. Production agriculture practices and technologies such as the use of GMOs, which is not any more or less risky than conventional crop production, has allowed American farmers to produce more food on less acres in environmentally sound ways. Find out more online at pathtotheplate.tamu.edu. We are Texas A&M Agri-Life Extension, helping Texans make lives better.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schissler, and I'm proud to be your host. I hope you enjoyed the conversation that we just had with Bill Torgan at Conroe Life Changes. Interesting perspective there. An opportunity, I think, for some of us to use Bill's skills as a hypnotist to help us get past some issues, any kind of issue that you may have. He told the story about someone who was afraid to drive a car and how he helped them get behind the wheel. So there are all kinds of things that type of skill can help, I believe, people get over the hump, so to speak. So when you have a chance, if you're interested, reach out to ConroeLifeChanges.com and talk to Bill about what he may or may not be able to do for you. Okay, mailbag. Gosh, interesting question this week, no doubt about it. How in the hell do I adjust to all the changes that are going on? This was a question that we received from Brenda C. I feel your pain, Brenda. Lots of changes happening to us in business, particularly small business. The current business environment in general throughout this country, around the world, lots of sort of negative or downer type articles and information being put out there that you can't help but pick up a newspaper or a publication or turn on the internet and go to one of your news sites, and you see a lot of negativity. And some of it relates to business, the supply chain issue I talked about earlier. And so there are some changes and things that are happening, some of which are very hard for us, I think, in small business to understand because they're so far up the line, so to speak, and they're just maximum drive kind of issues, like supply chain. Why would it matter to me if in the United Kingdom, in Britain, England, they're having a dock worker strike and that no goods can leave certain docks and ports in England? Well, it just may be that somewhere along the line you use some of those products. Perhaps a vendor, perhaps a manufacturer that manufactures products for you. It's just amazing how far down that can go. Very interesting. How do you adjust? Now, let me give you a few thoughts. We talk about this issue, maybe not directly from time to time. The first thing that pops in my head, if you really want to go for it, and really work the adjustment angle is you need to reinvent yourself, or more appropriately, your company. Look for opportunity to sell additional products, provide additional services, or even repackage those products or services. Put them in bundles maybe, or unbundle them maybe, but reinvent some of what you're offering in your business. To me, that's an exciting process, and one that you need to be ready to fail. So don't just commit and push the pedal down and hope for the best. Be monitoring, checking, seeing how it's being received. And that may be something that some of you in your business, you're not used to. You're used to doing it right, doing it well, being on time, providing quality, giving the guarantee, all the right things. And then, unfortunately, sometimes things don't work out as we expect, and we wait too long to pull back in and re-energize and restage and reinvent what we're offering. But reinventing, don't forget about it. There's a lot of outside pressure right now. Things may seem kind of cloudy, hard to understand, the fog set in, but reinventing has some real value, particularly in these times. Other things you can do that are more direct: switch employees' tasks. If you've got certain areas of your business that have slowed down and you say, well, gosh, I'm looking at layouts, is there something else that you can have that employee or employees do? Part of that may be part of the reinvention. Maybe you set up and deliver your products now instead of shipping them. There are all kinds of possibilities, but look at your employee task in general and see if you need to make adjustments there. Cutting unnecessary cost, it goes without saying. If business is slowing down or you feel very uncertain about it, cutting your cost. There's always cost, I have found, in anybody's financials, in anybody's budget. There are expenses that can be trimmed back. It may not be big and exciting money from one item, but look through the whole list of expenses. Look at how you're doing things. Look at who you're purchasing from. Maybe alternatives will work out, and maintain your quality, maintain the reputation of your company as you go along. Improving efficiency. Again, I feel there's always inefficiencies, and every business processes their inefficiencies that have not been addressed. Yes, you may have already hit the low-hanging fruit, and it may be a little hard. It may cost some money to go in and create other efficiencies that will reduce cost and increase your margins. But be sure you've taken a good look, a relook. In fact, it's amazing what you can find by doing that. Create or update your business plan. This is one I've touched on probably ad nauseum for some of you, and I apologize, but to sit down and write out a plan, and again, you don't need any particular expertise or skill. I do a one-page business plan, and we've talked about it often on the show. But make sure you have something that guides you, and then potentially you could share with your employees or some of your employees to show them what you're doing, so they don't just see you cutting cost, which they may perceive makes their job harder, or you had to let somebody go, or whatever it might be. They see that there's a plan behind it. They need to be able to see that, and you need something. I believe we all need something to follow, because it's so easy to get off track. It starts small typically, but then it gets real big. Upgrading your online presence. Our guest today, Bill Torgan, talked about that in his business, in using social media and getting the word out there. And he didn't talk about paid social media, but that's part of the game out there. Be sure you're right where you need to be. Upgrade your social media presence. Upgrade your presence online. That includes your website. It includes your SEO, search engine optimization. And again, you may have to third-party this, which you say, well, gosh, now I've got another expense. But don't pull in your marketing advertising and go home. If anything, you probably need to increase it, and that would include definitely your online presence. And then, again, one more idea on the efficiency side of the ledger is evaluate the employee's individual task and how they do things, and see if there's a way to reorganize that. I've seen this done countless times, and the little changes here and there, the additional training, all of these things will pay off. They all add up. And ultimately, even potentially, you deliver a better product, a better service. I'm amazed how I can use someone for a service and then I use someone else and how it's day or night. And I was happy with the first guy. But the second guy, the way they did it, the way they did their bill, how I paid, the efficiency of it, just amazing, the differences. And the second example, they're absolutely have cut their costs. They made an investment maybe in some technology, but they had cut their cost to deliver the same or even better service. So where am I going to go the next time I buy something? Another benefit of taking a look. So yes, there are a lot of changes out there, Brenda. A lot of things have made it a little more difficult to do business, and we've got to work our ways through it. But I encourage you to take some of those ideas so you can answer your own question, how in the hell do I adjust to all the changes that are going on out there? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our final break of the hour. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the One Best Consult Tip of the Week. How good are you in connecting with people? One of the most important things that any business can do, has to do in today's world. So please stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
What can the Better Living for Texans program do for you? You can learn how to increase your consumption of fruits and vegetables, choose foods that are relatively inexpensive and good to eat, make your food dollars last longer, prepare quick, nutritious meals, help your children learn how to eat healthier snacks, and much more. Our program is committed to helping people like you improve your health through providing research-based nutrition education in a friendly, cost-free, and relaxed environment. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That's Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on the computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. A Lone Star Community Radio. Broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Did you know that there are over 153 million orphans in the world today? The sad reality is 99% of those kids will likely never be adopted. Core Love is an organization right here in Conroe that takes care of orphan children in Haiti, Honduras, and India. We bring the love of Jesus by providing their 6 basic needs of clean water, proper food, healthcare, education, job skills, and a loving home. Visit corelove.org. That's CORELUV.org. Will you help defend the orphan?
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show with monthly and weekly slots available in Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dan Simon, Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm also a Silver Fox advisor and hopefully bring some of that wisdom-driven advice to this program. Again, thank you for tuning in. And before we get started with the tip of the week, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everyone that's out there, if your business is located in Montgomery County, Conroe, I would encourage you to consider being a sponsor of this program. Lone Star Community Radio is our local nonprofit community radio station, and this program is part of that effort to bring information and ideas to the community. And sponsorships help. They're donations to the radio station. So if you have a business and want to put it on the air, I think it's a great thing to do. It's very, very cost effective. Just reach out to me, Rick at irlonestar.com. That's Rick at irlonestar.com. I'll send you some basic information, and we'll see if we can get your business on the air with the Weekly Business Hour. Well, the one best consult tip of the week is, how good are you in connecting with people? So much of our business revolves around my ability as a business owner to be good at connecting with people. It's a skill that some people seem to come by naturally, right? Salespeople particularly, others not so much. And most of us, I guess, are kind of in the middle. But when you start a business, obviously, don't make any mistake. You're going to have to get good connecting with people. And there are three groups of people: customers for your business, your vendors that you're going to do business with, and your employees, if in fact you will have employees in your business. Now, those are three major contact points and three major challenges, I believe, for good communication and good connection. But you gotta have them, all three of them, the best that they can be to have the most success in your business that you can have. There's several areas where I think people sort of miss, but as far as how important that connecting is. Off the top of my head, the one that always pops in my mind, my ability to get money for my business. Most startups, money comes out of their own pocket, credit cards, perhaps family, friends. But once your business is established, there will come a time when you need to finance some rolling stock, a piece of equipment. You may need to go to the bank to get a working capital loan or accounts receivable loan. You're going to have to connect with a vendor who provides money, a bank or other type of lending institution. Again, you've got to have some skills and understand about connecting with people. And one thing I want to point out that I think is so critical, and Bill Torgan, our guest today, pointed this out, networking groups and getting out there when you may not have a direct issue that requires that connection, so that, for an example, you meet that banker before you ever need anything. You get a chance to build that relationship, which I think is critical. Again, these are relationship building. Connection is partly relationship building. That, to me, is the real critical part of it. The ability to make friends that are like you, people that are new to business, entrepreneurs, to share your stories, your challenges, your successes, your failures. Roundtable groups that I participate in, along with a lot of the other Silver Fox advisors, where we mentor people. You need to be able to connect with people who are in business. You can't stay behind your own counter, your own desk, in your own office all the time. You need to connect with people that are somewhat similar in their state, in their business, so it will help you make better decisions. You'll have people to bounce off your challenges, your needs, your desires. Another area is connection versus social networking. Another place you need to connect your business on social networking. And as Bill suggested, there's lots of free social networking out there. You need to have your business out there where people are seeing it. And eventually, enough times when they need your product or service, you hope that they will connect through the social networking. To me, it's an important thing for every business. I don't care what you do, is to have some kind of presence on social media. The ability to hire the right people for the job and your company. The ability that people, the idea that people know your business, they know of your business. Yes, I've heard of you. This will help you attract better people. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Connecting with these people, particularly when you don't need them. In other words, continuing to network, using that word very broadly, very, very important. And last but not least, I mean, your ability to grow your business. If you desire to grow your business, you're not satisfied where you are today, is going to be tied directly, among other factors, but I think number one is your ability to connect with people. So ask yourself this question: how good am I in connecting with other people? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us today. And I also want to thank Bill Torgan for coming in and offering some interesting information and perspective that potentially could help you in your business even today. Please put a note on your calendar to join us again next week at 11 o'clock. And a copy of today's program will be available in a couple days. You can find it on the Weekly Business Hour page at irlonestar.com, onebestconsult.com, or on our Facebook and YouTube pages as well. And until next week, stay engaged. And as I always remind people, keep your focus on what's important in your business. Thanks.